I'm Jo Martin and welcome to Jo&Co, your home for insights and inspiration to help you change your corner of the world. And today we're talking a little about effectiveness. Specifically, I want to have a look at one of the biggest obstacles to a woman's effectiveness, and that's a little someone whom I call Superwoman. Now, if you're a man watching this, don't worry, I'm sure it is every bit as relevant to you as it is to the women watching. But let's have a look at this archetype called Superwoman. You know the woman I'm talking about, right? And I know you've probably done it, where there's been a lot going on and you're a little bit like the frog in boiling water and the temperature's getting higher and higher. And before you know it, you've turned into this crazy person who's tearing around from one thing to another with appointments scheduled in. There's no space in your diary. You're picking the kids up from school. You're cooking the dinner. You're getting it on the table. You're getting them in the bath. They're into bed. And then you're skidding into the, your Netflix, you're watching something, then you're going and you're cleaning up the bed, you're doing whatever, you're all over the place, and then it all happens again the next day and you're doing some client calls while you're cooking the dinner at the same. It's mad. This is Superwoman. If you've ever been to a live event with me, you will have seen me actually get to the point where I've got my underpants and cape on and tearing around the stage looking somewhat peculiar. But when we're in that energy, to the outside world, we do look not just peculiar, but crazy. It's ineffective. That's the problem with Superwoman. Superwoman is an archetype, and she's actually a very fear-based archetype. It's a fear-based energy that she has. She's our animal self. We're very much in that reptilian part of our brain, which thinks that we have to fight or flee to survive. It's that kind of, mode, and she's just trying to control everything to kind of move forward. Do you know what I mean? Here's the thing. She is moderated by adrenaline and cortisol. The energy of Superwoman, she is running on adrenaline. Now, women are particularly sensitive to this because men, you guys, you've got some. If you're in Superman, you've got a fabulous hormone that can help you out with that, and that is testosterone. Testosterone fuels that kind of competitive, aggressive, focused kind of energy, which is very, very powerful and really useful for men. We've got some testosterone and we can use it to a certain extent, but we've got a fraction of the testosterone of men. So when we run out of testosterone, we spend a lot more time in this adrenalized cortisol state. Ultimately, this leads to stress. It leads to burnout if we're doing it for a long time. Superwoman is great for 15 minutes. You can even do it for a full day if you need to, but she is not meant to be there for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. I caught myself recently back in Superwoman. She's not someone you let go of forever. She's an old friend who pops up from time to time. And having recognized that I was in Superwoman, I just knew that I needed a reset. I took myself off, and my whole family actually, we went away just for a spa weekend, just for one overnight. And it was enough to kind of reset my energy and bring me back to center to get back in touch with some of the other soft power archetypes that we talk about inside of my organizations. Now, what is soft power? Some people hear that term and they go, what? What does that mean? When most of us relate to power, we think it means, dominion over or force or aggression. And if we're in that mode, we're in our masculine energy, we're adrenalized as women, and we're not going to be effective. There is a different kind of power. We call it soft power, a place that comes from a very agreeable, a very calm and centered place, a power that is quite yielding. Now that's a bit of an anathema, right? What does that mean? If you think about Aikido and many martial arts, they teach that the greatest source of power is the attack of your opponent. When they come at you, you yield to the energy that they bring, and then you come back with your power, having utilized theirs. Soft power is very the same. It's centered in our feminine energy, and we have 5 soft power archetypes that we talk about inside of One of Many and our leadership training that we do. I'm going to introduce you to one of them today, who is the most powerful archetype that you can access instantly. Anytime you're feeling you're getting into Superwoman, to perhaps find a new way of being. And that archetype is the archetype of the Queen. Now, as soon as I say that, a couple of things might happen. You get a sense of the Queen archetype and her power, or you might think of the Queen of England and think, well, I don't know about that. regardless of what you think of the Queen of England, she's actually a pretty good representation in most terms of the archetype of the Queen as well. The archetype of the Queen is very serene. She is graceful. She's omniscient. She knows everything that's going on in her realm and her court. She is incredibly decisive. She knows what she knows. She's tuned into her intuition. She trusts it and she acts. She's got no self-worth issues. She's not sitting there wondering, because she knows she was placed in this position by God. Now, if you were to step into your Queen archetype, anytime some things get challenging, anytime your effectiveness is challenged and you need to find a more effective way of working, rather than going into Superwoman, trying to get it all done yourself, burning yourself out, what if instead you stepped into your Queen? The Queen delegates. The Queen invites others to support and nourish her dream, right? Her vision. And indeed, knights and ladies will lay down their lives for the Queen archetype. Literally, knights lay down their lives for the Queen. Now, not for the Queen necessarily, but the vision that she holds for her realm. So this brings us to our effectiveness. Next time you find yourself heading into Superwoman, ask yourself, what would my Queen do? And the first thing you have to do is access your vision for yourself, for your future, for your family, for your business, or whatever the context you're in. What is your vision for the future? What is your vision for your realm, for your business? Get really clear on that. Just take a few deep breaths, get really clear on that, and ask, what would my Queen do? From that place, you get access to all sorts of different ideas and strategies for being even more effective than tearing around like a mad thing with your underpants on the outside. So that's my tip for you this week. In terms of leadership, ask yourself, what would my Queen do? If you're a guy watching this, what would your king do? And get access to some much more powerful places to operate from. I hope that's been helpful for you. Please let me know in the comments below the video whether this one's hit the button, what you want more of, and I look forward to seeing you in our next episode of Jo&Co.